2026 Subaru Outback, almost called it a Forester. This has a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder under the hood, a boxer engine, and it makes 260 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque. For the transmission, it has a Lineartronic CVT with an 8-speed manual shift mode. And for this 7th generation, there's controversy. It's gotten a little bit taller, it's a little bit boxier, there's more cargo capacity, and the technology is much better than it used to be. But why don't we go park somewhere and take a look at the design and the interior of this Subaru Outback. Okay, so this week we have the all-new redesigned 2026 Subaru Outback, and this one is in the fully loaded trim, which is the Premier XT here in Canada and Touring XT in the US. It starts at a price of $44,000 in Canada and $34,000 in the US. This top-level trim, the Premier or Touring XT, starts at $54,000 Canadian and $48,000 in the US.
Now, if you've watched my channel for a while, you'll notice a pattern. Somehow, I've never driven a Subaru Outback, not once. So everything you're about to hear comes from someone with zero nostalgia and zero agenda, fresh eyes only. And look, I hear you. I know a lot of you are frustrated with manufacturers slowly killing off every car that sits low to the ground. But let's talk about this new generation. It's taller. Subaru added 2 inches to the roofline, and that actually brought you something useful. Cargo space jumps from 32.6 to 34.6 cubic feet, and it genuinely does feel like a massive vehicle inside. But that said, it does raise the question, should they have just called this a Forester XL? I mean, they are almost at the same height now. The Outback is still the same length, so it does hold on to some of that wagon DNA, and ground clearance comes in at 8.7 inches on the standard models. If you want higher ground clearance, you'll get the Wilderness trim, which bumps you up to 9.5. Now this is the 2.4 liter turbocharged version, but under the hood of the base model, you'll get a naturally aspirated 2.5 liter flat 4 that makes 180 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. Nothing wild, and I've driven it in the Forester, and well, I can say I like this 2.4 turbo more. When it comes to towing, the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated version can tow up to 2,700 pounds. This 2.4 liter turbo can tow up to 3,500 pounds. Controversial exterior aside, the interior is genuinely a big upgrade for Subaru interiors as a whole. So let's start there. Okay, so just before we look at the interior space on the Subaru Outback, I just want to shout out today's sponsor, Cars.ca. If you're on the hunt for a new or a used Subaru Outback and you live in Canada, well, Cars.ca is a great place to look. Every result comes from a verified dealership, so you don't have to worry if the seller is a real person. There are no spammy ads anywhere on the website, and you don't have to sign up or create an account or anything. Every result comes from a verified dealership, and they have a Cars Confidence pricing system that's built on over 2 decades of real pricing data. So if you see a can't miss price on the website, it's legit. They even have a page dedicated to can't miss deals. Make sure to click the link in the description below or type in cars.ca in your browser and start looking for your Subaru Outback today.
Okay, so the interior space of the new Outback is a big upgrade. This is pretty nice, to be honest. It does look a little Toyota-ish. I have to say, with like this gloss black around the screens up here, it looks similar to other Toyotas. If you put a Toyota badge on the steering wheel, I would believe you. But it's a nice interior. It's a good mix of digital and physical controls. We have physical controls for all our HVAC settings. So we have fan speed, we've got our temperature, we've got our heated and ventilated seats as buttons, so that's great. I don't know why we can't do this in all cars, but this is a big plus over the Forester, which just has that older school vertical screen that I don't really like. But right off the bat, 12.1 inch infotainment screen, 12.3 inch driver's display. This driver's display is actually pretty nice, and it's crisp and clear. The animations look good. I usually keep it on this menu, but you can cycle through different menus. This one has your navigation. This one is a little bit more minimal for your adaptive cruise. This one's really minimal, and then I just keep it on this one because I like to be able to see this information. Steering wheel is nice. You've got your heated steering wheel button, which is in a great spot. Easy to see. kind of out of the way too. The buttons for your adaptive cruise and lane keeping is on this side of the steering wheel, and you have your X mode. So that's the only drive mode that you have in the Outback, at least in this Outback. And then on the left side, you've got your seat track controls, and you can change the menu screens. I always think Subaru has pretty cool paddle shifters. It's just a bummer that these are usually all CVT. So really, you're using them for going down a hill and downshifting instead of using your brakes. But I wish I had these kind of paddle shifters in my Mazda 3 Turbo, because they just give you little tiny ones. These feel way better. We've got 2 memory seats and really nice buttons for your windows. They feel premium, that's good. Got a traditional gear shifter, always love a traditional gear shifter. We have a wireless charger that actually hasn't overheated my phone, so that's cool. So in this Premier or Touring XT, we do have a 360 camera, and there are a lot of different angles. Got your fenders there, and a 3D animated view of your vehicle. Lots of different views, which is nice. And you can turn this on at basically any speed while driving. We've got some piano black, but hey, not a lot of piano black. Piano black up here is okay because we're never touching that. Piano black down here is always a bit of a miss, but at least it's kind of a small spot for it. And then we've got this nice textured material, which is much better than piano black. It looks good. 2 cup holders and a good amount of space in your center console. We do also have a 12 volt, 120 watt plug. I do really like this brown interior. It's quite nice. There is a little pocket under there. Apparently that was bigger in the previous model, but I've actually never driven the previous Outback, so couldn't tell you. Another nice feature is the felt in the door panels. So in the storage area for the door panels, it's all covered in felt. Now both the driver and passenger seats are powered. The driver does get lumbar support, the passenger doesn't. And these do have leg extensions, only for the driver, not for the passenger, which is unfortunate. But I mean, I'm not really tall enough to need them, but I do kind of like being able to extend it a bit.
Now, while these seats were very comfortable, the headrests were not. They felt like rocks, honestly.
There's also a rear view mirror camera, and I love rear view mirror cameras. Just really good visibility around this vehicle. Well, I was just about to talk about the outside of the new Outback, and then a snowplow came. It got super muddy, and I thought, you know what, why don't I take this through a car wash before I talk about the outside, because it was pretty dirty. Now it's all nice and clean. All right, so I've gotten a couple complaints on other YouTube videos that I'm too shaky when I film handheld. So I've got this on a gimbal now. Hopefully this is better, but let's talk about the front end. First of all, it doesn't look like a Subaru in my opinion. It's quite a bit different looking. It does sort of look like a Forester, maybe a little bit, but this split headlight, split daytime running light design really is different for Subaru, and it looks very Hyundai in my opinion. Even Audi's doing this sort of design. A lot of car companies are, but they are LED, and then you do have LED fog lights down there as well, a blacked out Subaru grille, and a decently muscular looking front hood. Now as we pull around to the side of the Outback, it is a very long vehicle, but you do get 8.7 inches of ground clearance. On the Wilderness trim, you'll get 9.5 inches. You've got 19-inch rims, and in case you're worried, they are not bad for ride quality at all. This car rides really smooth. It's a very pleasant experience to drive. You'll also notice lots of plastic trim around the vehicle that is pretty typical for Subaru. We have gloss black mirrors, and then we have a nice roof rack that is from the Wilderness trim actually, and that can handle up to 800 pounds. We have an interesting little side design element, and then what looks to be for aerodynamics. If you go really close, you can tell it's got kind of a honeycomb design there. Pretty neat. So I'd say this is my favorite angle of the Outback. This still kind of looks like a wagon. I do also really like the rear taillight design. Almost looks like piano keys in there. And when you come back to the rear, you have a bit of a spoiler at the top, lots of big glass, lots of visibility out the back. You have Outback written there. Subaru logo kind of splits the light bar, so it's not a full light bar, which is fine. Kind of tired of every car having a light bar. And you've got your symmetrical all-wheel drive badge and Subaru stamped right into the rear bumper. And because this is the turbo, you have dual exhaust pipes at the bottom. Not that it's anything fancy. They didn't bother putting any sort of chrome tailpipe. They just sort of shoot down. So while the taillights are LED, the turn signals are not. Okay, so it's that part of the video where we look at your design approval rating on the car.
And we got 1,038 votes in for the Subaru Outback. I think that's the most amount of votes ever between Instagram and YouTube. And this is tough. Only 39% of you approve of the design on the new Subaru Outback. Maybe this River Rock Pearl color isn't doing it any favors. I've seen it in deep emerald green, and that looks quite a bit better, or even blue sapphire. I think Subarus look good in blue, but yeah. That was your opinion on the design of this Subaru Outback. And I'm actually pretty interested to know what you think about this one too. This is the 2026 Hyundai Ioniq 9. So fully electric EV SUV. So if you want to vote on this, follow me on Instagram or subscribe here on YouTube. Let's get back to the Subaru Outback. In the back seat, we've got lots of headroom, lots of leg room. We've got cup holders. I do kind of wish there was a panoramic sunroof that came all the way back, but hey, we've got a sunroof. We've got 2 vents, we've got heated seats, and a USB-C and a USB-A.
So the utility hooks back here that we're hanging this tonneau cover that also doubles up as a bag, they can handle 6 pounds. That is their weight capacity. We have 80.5 cubic feet of total cargo space. That's really big. That is a really big cargo area. Now, when you have the seats back up, you have 34 cubic feet, which is actually 2 cubic feet more than the previous model. And we've got some handles that we can pull that put the seats down, which is super handy. It's always nice when you're able to do that from the back of the trunk space. And super practical cargo area. Those seats fold really flat. In the back, you can see your Harman Kardon subwoofer. It's a good sound system. It does sound pretty good. So what's it been like driving this Subaru Outback for the week? Honestly, I'm pleasantly surprised. It's a pretty easygoing vehicle, really easy to get around town in. I find the turning radius is pretty good for a vehicle this length. It's comfortable in here. These seats are pretty good. It's got all the creature comforts you really need, like heated seats, ventilated seats, big touchscreen, practical physical buttons, really good visibility around the entire vehicle, and then you've got the rear view mirror camera, so blind spots are not an issue. It's decently quiet. It's been an incredibly windy week. I've been hearing some wind noise in here. There's like a little whistle coming from somewhere. Now when it comes to power, this is a good amount. It feels peppy. It's really easy to merge onto the highway with it. I wouldn't be asking for more power, but I also wouldn't want less. I do think the 2.5 liter that makes 180 horsepower would feel kind of slow, and I've watched other reviews and people do kind of talk about it being or feeling kind of slow. This feels like the proper engine for this. I've had the chance to drive this through some snow, and the symmetrical all-wheel drive system works great. This has winter tires on it too. Most Subarus are going to feel confident in the snow, except maybe the BRZ. So really good pick up and go power. Yeah, this is great. Obviously it doesn't sound very good, but honestly most people don't care about how the engine sounds. It's more of a car enthusiast thing. Now a big highlight for me has been the suspension. It's a very, very comfortable ride, and it's been great to test it because a lot of the snow has melted and there are so many potholes everywhere, and this just kind of hits bumps really well. It feels pretty comfortable. In terms of fuel economy, I've been getting around 10 to 12 liters per 100 kilometers. I am pushing the vehicle a fair bit, but on the highway, I was getting about 11 liters per 100 kilometers. Not spectacular. So yes, it's kind of a shame that we don't have a hybrid option, but the Forester has one, so I'm sure it's coming in the next year or two. Okay, so here we are out on the highway with the Outback, and I'm using adaptive cruise control. It's keeping me away from this semi pretty well. The lane keep is kind of all over the place sometimes, it feels like. It feels like it fights a lot to keep you in the center, more so than other brands. But what's cool is we do have lane change, so if I just flick the switch here, it will switch lanes for me, but it tells you to keep your hands on the steering wheel, which just feels like, why don't I just move it myself? This apparently does have hands-free, I haven't been able to get it to work. So key takeaways from my week with this Outback would be finally some modern technology in a Subaru. This looks a lot better than some of the other interiors currently. It's a very comfortable ride. The cargo capacity is phenomenal, and it's pretty peppy. My biggest negatives with this Outback would just be the safety systems get a little tiring after a while. I turn a lot of them off. And then the fuel economy is not so great. And then the design. I don't love the front end design of this, but I don't mind the side and the back. I'm not a huge fan of cars with a ton of plastic cladding on them. But looking past that, this is a great vehicle. $54,000, fully loaded, all these features. Seems like a good deal in today's economy. Anyways, thanks so much for watching my video on this Subaru Outback. Next up, we have a Volvo XC60. So if that interests you, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you soon.